today. And then obviously with new websites, the issues with migration and stuff like that, we've just spent the whole day resolving that. So it's kind of been a bit of a, headless chicken day. Things just kind of seem to have calmed down at the moment. So we're doing okay. What about yourself?
Yeah, no, busy, hectic, and it's preparing for this, and we've been manic this week, but it's been so exciting. So I'm excited. We're both excited to have you on. I will just change this view so it does it right. Yeah, awesome, great. So, Kate, I appreciate you jumping on. Welcome to Is Success Simple? As we spoke the other day, it's a podcast where we dive into the real journeys behind business growth, the challenges that shape leaders, and the wins that make it all worth it. So today, obviously, we're joined, Kayleigh, an announcement. You are the founder of
Sensorium. Yeah.
So, which from the research I've done, I understand is that a marketing partner for small businesses and startups who are tired of wasting money on random tactics and want senior level strategy without the bloated costs.
Yeah.
And you've got over 30 years of collective experience with you and your team, and you create marketing strategies that align with business goals, focus on high impact execution, and deliver the expertise of an entire marketing department at the cost of a single hire.
Yeah.
Awesome. So
pretty much, you've done it all for me.
Well, today, what I'd love to explore is obviously why so many businesses get marketing wrong, how to fix it, and of course, we'll be asking the big question: is success really as simple as it sounds?
Yeah.
But yeah, I guess, Kay, for those that are listening, and I guess those that haven't interacted yet with Sensorium, how would you describe it in your words?
I would say probably think of us like a full stack marketing team for startup and scale ups, that we provide them senior capability that the big brands have, but without that overhead. Okay. So I think that it's important to notifies like what I'm a firm believer in terms of when I'm stepping into this space, people will come to me like, what gives you the authority to be able to then advise startups, scale ups in terms of what they should be doing in this space. And where it came from essentially is I've worked with global brands and I've spent a long time launching those global brands in local markets. So I've done it in the Middle East and I've done it here in Australia. I've worked with BMW, Heineken, John Deere. And really, it's always the same thing. The reason why those brands can be as successful as they are is because they have the full weight of a marketing team behind them. And really, our aim as an organisation, and my aim, particularly coming from the Middle East, stepping into the Australian market and falling into it, wasn't my intention to fall into this startup, scale-up space, but I fell in love with it. Coming out of big brands, and the problem was always the same, and that was they know that they need marketing, but they never have the budget, the resources to be able to put behind it. So really, Sensorium was founded with one very simple kind of vision, and that was to put high performing marketing teams inside as many Australian startup and scale up businesses as possible, so that they can cut through and move the dial. And really, that's what our goal is in life, pretty much as an organisation.
Yeah, cool. And how long? So Sensorium's been is it over a year old?
2 years.
2 years.
Yeah, 2 years.
Awesome.
So we're still very very new to the market in the scheme of things.
Yeah.
But that was because I was coming out of, I've constantly dabbled between big brands, small brands, big brands, small brands. And I worked with John Deere, and John Deere is a really interesting space, particularly here in WA, is because, you have the overarching brand and the dealership, and then you have all of these little independent branches. I think there's 30 just through WA alone, and anybody who lives in WA knows how sparse it is. Like it's, to get from one end to another, it's, a couple of days drive. But they all had their own unique trials and tribulations and focuses. And realistically, they needed a independent marketer that would only focus on, their little area. So for instance, what would work in Geraldton wouldn't necessarily work in Albany. And But really, John Deere no longer positions themselves as agriculture. They're an ag tech. They've gone after that tech industry.
Yeah.
So we learn a lot in that space, and really kind of curating, how you integrate technology into not only into the local market, but also into farmers' lifestyle as well. So it was actually the inspiration of seeing those frustrations that I saw out in field, that I was like, you know what, I'm doing this for a large organization, large brand. Why am I not? And my passion is helping the independent, the guys on the ground. Why would I just not do this myself? And that's really where it came from.
That's awesome.
Love
And in the last 2 years, what would you say are some of the biggest challenges you've seen from obviously going from being in corporate and going out on your own and taking that first step into running your business?
Look, I mean, it's very personal, because marketing now particularly has been commoditized by social media and the miscommunication of what marketing is. And social media, and we see it like rafts and rafts of reels, and people not understanding that those reels are actually ads, and them just going after hungry brands and businesses that are, will get you leads, but there's no differentiation between B2B marketing versus B2C marketing. It's very much of a blanket approach, and everybody and the problem is every marketer is trying to undercut one another, or they're trying to bag each other out, and that's in my space. So really, we don't play in that space whatsoever. We know our lane. I'm passionate about tech. I've worked, small businesses here, cybersecurity, identity verification, data infrastructure. I did my entire master's degree on data infrastructure. WA is known as the tech hub of Australia, so I'm very passionate about it. So and I'm also passionate about marketing and helping businesses understand what marketing is. So I would probably say that within that space of that's the problem that I see in the marketing field.
In terms of educating them and so forth.
Yeah, if you were to ask me what is the pain, or what are the commonalities or pain points that I see in business who are working in tech trying to market that, and particularly within SaaS within tech, it's very much not about what the best wins. Like, it's not about the best tech in any way, shape, or form. It's about the technology that's understood the fastest and remembered the easiest. And there's so many founders that don't spend time building that narrative. Instead, they focus, building the features and not the voice. And that's the problem that I'm seeing. And those who get it and who understand the value of it, they get it. And those who don't. And it's very much of how do we work with who we want to work with, and they choose us. But it's very much, and you do see this diversion between companies and brands that make it and those who don't.
It's interesting, like, because we've seen the same thing. Like, we speak to a lot of SaaS business owners in cybersecurity as well, and it's what I find fascinating is that they rely on their own network first, and then they get to a point where they then start going, well, what's next? And then they start to really struggle, because what's interesting about the technology space is that most companies that are built a product that makes sense in essence when you understand it from a solution point of view. It fixes a valid problem that is needed, but how they deliver that messaging is where they struggle. So explain to us, if let's say I'm a business, I've just launched my business in the SaaS space, I've created this product that's going to help a load of businesses with this problem that they have. What do you guys come in and provide someone like me?
Yeah, so essentially the way that we position ourselves and the work that we do is very much at a foundational level. And what I mean by that is we focus on 4 primary areas, which essentially is brand, it's message, market fit, positioning, and then systems. So systems will always come last. Systems will always be having the support function to be able to then go out and advertise, but having that ecosystem that is going to be able to funnel back through into the business. I think for businesses now, there's a number of things that they need to be doing. And what we usually start with is the getting into the nitty-gritty of understanding their ICP, which is ideal client profile. There's a lot of businesses that go, oh, we know who we're marketing to. I'm like, do you? Do you really know who it is that you're marketing to? So it's always very broad in sense of like, we help small business or we serve e-commerce, but that's not enough. You need to pick the exact segment that you can dominate, the industry, the job role, even the problem triggers, and then start with the buying journey there. So a practical move that we would do is we would go and interview 5 of their existing customers or potential customers, 5 potential customers, and we would listen to the words they're using, the things that they're saying, and then we would use those exact words. And we would then build out a marketing message and a language around those words so that you then integrate that back into your marketing message.
I see. And so what platforms would you use like if a business was going to market, what platforms would you market? Or what platform would you use to market that message?
If it is, we primarily work with in the B2B space. So people have to understand that first we need to understand the platform, and not every single platform is going to work for a B2B space. And the easiest way, when people say to me, oh, well, explain it to me, I say to them, okay, LinkedIn in terms of platform is like going to an exhibition. It's, that you're going to present, you've got to present, professionally, you're going to be on your best behavior, you're going to be ready with a quick tongue to be able to communicate what you do, how you do it, why you do it in a very short period of time to capture somebody's attention, because everybody is in that professional space and it's very, very short-lived. So that's LinkedIn. Facebook is like going down to your local pub, which is you're only ever going to see the same people and the same interests, and you'll only ever really get a limited amount of reach because you're only reaching out to your broader community, and they're only ever going to be interested in what's happening in the broader community if they have some form of relation to it. And if businesses are spruiking business services that are, say, SaaS or tech in this space, you're not going to get any traction. And it's the same with TikTok, it's the same with Instagram. The only time that I would probably recommend using Meta or even TikTok is if I'm a big advocate for this, is if you were communicating your internal culture externally.
Okay, through videos and so forth.
Yeah. So your customers are going to want to know the type of culture that you're cultivating, the way that you do business. The way that you do business will always start from internal, how you treat your staff, the conversations you're having with your staff, the type of engagement that you have with them. Happy staff equals productive staff. Productive staff will always produce a better level of product or service than, any other company. So if you're externally communicating that, customers will also buy into that as well. So I think understanding those different platforms first in terms of what is relatable to your business, and then from there stripping it right back so I'm a big advocate for LinkedIn, and then LinkedIn is very good at warm engagement. If you want to do top of funnel outreach, cold engagement, Google is the place for that, because I think we spoke about it, how you would communicate to somebody who is just doing a Google search because they've been tasked to look for a service or product is going to be the first point of call. Google, or even in these cases, Gemini, or even ChatGPT, because you're now ranking in that space. So that's another thing that businesses have to get on top of, is the fact that AI is now using, search capability to be able to serve up preferred options for businesses. So once you've got that at that, cold level, and they start to move through this funnel into warm engagement, which we refer to as middle of funnel moth, that's when you start to engage via other platforms, LinkedIn, start to do community outreach. You can start to advertise, make sure that you're, consistent on your social media. Just people will start to want to look into, start to engage more with your brand, have a look at who you are, how you function within the business, that type of thing.
100%. I think LinkedIn is such a fantastic platform for that. It's something that we've seen success using, because what I find of it is that our background has been in sales for mine's been close to 15 years, Mario's over 10 years, and a lot of that's outreach, calls and so forth. But what we found with LinkedIn, and why we find it so fascinating, is because it builds credibility without having to unconsciously, because you go through your tenure of work and so forth, and that's credibility that you built. When you connect with someone on LinkedIn, naturally, what we all tend to do is our curiosity takes over, and we want to look at who we're connecting with. We see if we see then an opportunity that connection is going to be beneficial in some way, or maybe not now, but maybe in the future, we accept that connection. And therefore, I think a lot of people don't utilize it as much as they should. No. And they also probably don't realize their personal brand as well when it comes to it.
Yeah, 100%. It's very much of an underutilized tool. And it's really quite interesting because B2B platforms, B2B businesses don't really have a platform to play on.
No.
And which I'm quite surprised that somebody, I don't know, maybe somebody has, I haven't seen it marketed, or why hasn't somebody, done a spin-off of LinkedIn? One of the things that LinkedIn did promote and then stopped was, videos to be able to then, promote your business. Why hasn't somebody done a spin-off to, similar to like Snapchat? Or it's a really interesting space, because a lot of people think that B2B is purely rational, like, spreadsheets, procurement, logic, all of that. But every buying decision,
it's emotional.
Even at enterprise level, it comes from human psychology. It comes from a person.
Yes.
So it's like, why are more people? And I get it, different platforms mean different things, and communicate in different ways, and they have different audience reaches. LinkedIn is very much for that, Generation X professional. Like that's, the millennial, it's very much of a mainstream millennial platform playground.
Correct.
And there really should be other places that businesses can go to be able to play and communicate in that space.
100%. And I also think from, like I said, like an outreach point of view, it's actually one of maybe the quickest way to get to the decision maker of the business that you're targeting. But I think but there's also, I think also the reason why a lot of people maybe don't use it is it comes back to the educational side of it. A lot of people don't have the knowledge as much as they probably want to be able to feel confident enough to use their personal brand to start doing outreach. And I think that's where, because we touched on this on the conversation, obviously before this, there's that hesitancy of, I've spent so many years and months in building this platform or this product. How do I get someone externally in to go and deliver that messaging for me? Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, 100%. It's funny because imposter syndrome is a very real thing for business owners, and I think that's probably why they hide behind their product or their service because they actually don't know that. And it goes back to what I was saying before. Business owners, founders are so consumed with only communicating that product or service or new feature that they don't know how else to talk about anything else. But what's really interesting, and I apologize if I nerd out here because
go for it.
I spent a long time
Go on a tangent.
also studying human psychology. So what we're taught within B2B is very much based on the elements of the business elements of need, which from the foundational model is actually based on Maslow's hierarchy of needs, right? So you've got this beautiful little triangle, and within the triangle you've got multiple layers. And at the foundational layer, you really have you've got 5 layers, in total. You've got the base of it, you've got the foundational need, right? Yeah. So businesses really need to be asking, will it work? Does it solve a problem? Which then relates directly to, from a human psychology standpoint, it's very much of a basic needs. What do we need in order to be able to survive? Which in business sense, that's it, right? So the next one is operational safety in terms of the business requirements. So is it secure? Is it reliable? Is it going to be compliant? Will it make me look bad if it fails? And, that is really the business equivalent of safety. The next layer up is then social proofing and belonging. So then you're looking at, is it going to be secure? Is it going to be, is it going to be respected by others in order for when I put this out into the market? Will my peers approve of what it is that I'm putting out? And that's where most people get stuck, because then it becomes less about the actual product and service itself, because then they also start tying in, well, actually, I'm buying your product and service, but I'm also buying it from you as a person. That's where businesses fail, because they don't know how to get past that. And then usually what happens, the next layer up is then professional esteem, and then is like, will this make me look smart enough and forward thinking enough and place me into a thought leadership space? And then at the very top, it's very much of a strategic impact, like, will this help me or my company reach the next level of success? Which in Maslow's is self-actualization. And self-actualization is like, what am I going to get from this? And it goes both ways, not only from building a business, but also the person buying it on the other side. So really you've got, like, business owner buying service or product and business owner selling service or product. And they're each moving up this. And you'll often see this like disconnect. And that's why I say, get really familiar with your ICP, because that hierarchy of need has been around for hundreds of years. Like, it's not hundreds of years, but it was developed by Maslow like over 100 years ago, and it's foundational, right? So if you can get a really good understanding of who it is you're talking to and how each of those levels you can answer those questions, you're always going to connect with who it is that you want to connect with.
What would you then say to the owners and the founders that say, I'm not very good at sales?
You're not very good at sales?
Yeah. Or not sales, maybe effective communication, or be able to communicate that what my service does and how it fixes that problem.
Yeah. I think that it needs to come down to, it's not so much about you selling your product. It's about you believing in yourself that you've built a good product or service. Okay. And I think essentially what that comes from is you being able to. It's a really interesting question. Like,
I know, because it's something like I think about is, because selling for me is effective communication. That's all it is. That's like my personal belief in it. And it's when you're trying to, whether you're trying to sell a service or a product, it's all about understanding who you're speaking to and understanding how you need to tailor the messaging, whether it's through verbal communication or through digital or anything else, so that their customer or client understands the value and that they feel it fixes their need from an emotional point of view. So
Yeah.
I think when I speak to a lot of SaaS owners and so forth, I think it's that belief in their ability to be able to, because once you get them comfortable, whether it's in a setting like this or whether it's in the conversation, they can easily communicate the value and the problem it fixes. And they use a lot more simpler words or vocabulary to make it more understandable. You know what I mean?
Yeah. I definitely, I definitely agree with you. I think the simplification, and I mentioned it before, particularly within this space of SaaS, it's not the best tech that wins. It's pretty much the one that is the easiest to understand. So you definitely hit the nail on the head there. There's also, and within tech, we're also playing in a really funny space of you've got to be able to build trust before you can actually sell.
Yes.
So reflecting on the question that you asked, like how if somebody didn't know or was unsure about how they would sell or uncomfortable about how they sell the business, just remove that word altogether. It's like, and I actually do it within my own organization, but when I'm talking to my staff members and we're building out a campaign or something that is relatable to one of us or all of us, they'll we'll have open conversations and they'll be like, oh, how are we going to market this? I'm like, well, what would you want to see? I'm like, you're the end user, right? What is going to make you stop dead in your tracks? Do you go, oh shit, this is great? And that's probably the advice that I would give to answer your question. That's the advice that I would give business owners. Sell to yourself, market to yourself. And that's never, and the one thing that people have to understand about marketing, and you would know with sales, it's constant iteration and consistency. And my husband works in sales and he says time, with a mix, with a little sprinkle of time. And it's just that it's refining what that sounds like. But always use yourself, like I always use myself as the lowest common denominator, particularly we spend a lot of time translating tech products and services. And I will always use myself as lowest common denominator. And even sometimes my 8-year-old daughter can understand the words on paper, then we've done our job.
I like that. And it's a really simple method for people to understand that make it simple and easy. Just keep those two at the front of mind. How do you feel with, because AI has revolutionized a lot of industries. You mentioned before around trust. I think in the next couple of years, people are going to make a lot more buying decisions off trust because they don't know what is real and what is not, etc., etc. How have you seen AI revolutionize your space, and are you someone that implements it? And I guess what are your thoughts around it?
So AI is a really interesting thing, and what I have found is people's misunderstanding that we actually have been using AI since Apple, since like the launch of the first iPhone. The moment that Google Maps came on, that's AI. The moment that we were able to shop online via Amazon and it serve up, oh, you'll also like this, that's AI. Like, it's amazing how all of a sudden everybody thinks, oh, AI's come out of nowhere. I'm like, no, it hasn't. It's been around since actually even before, like 1950s. Sorry to any developer that will come at me for that, but around that area. Do I think that what we're using now, which is what we use in ChatGPT, other than ChatGPT 5, we were using narrow AI. Now we're using, what do they call it? It's not quite augmented, it's the one before that. Reasoning AI. So now it's starting to bring some human emotive into understanding rationale. I think, should businesses be using it to be able to frame and streamline things, e.g., having meetings and summarize the meetings, who spoke about what, instead of spending hours going through your handwritten notes or typing notes? Yes, absolutely. Do I think businesses should be relying on it to communicate their business and build websites from it? Absolutely not. Like, you're just going to fall into that exact same space. And now, we use it we use it for image generation. Yeah. We use it for to refine captions. We use it to streamline our meetings. We use ClickUp, and ClickUp is our project management tool. We use it to basically augment who needs to be assigned to what based on their roles, enter in dates. Like, it will take what would normally be 4 or 5, sometimes a single person job just to do project management, down to an hour. Does it get it right 100% of the time? Absolutely not. And that's what business owners need to keep in the back of their mind, is that it makes mistakes, and often they're pretty horrific mistakes if you don't have human intervention there. And it's really funny to be able to see technology businesses who are utilizing AI but not understanding, anybody who's in the tech space, that anybody who works within that data science ML space knows that there's a human behind the computer. But yet people are so reliant on AI to do everything. I'm like, wait. You still need a human, so implement it to give you structure, streamline stuff. Absolutely. But rely on it 100%? No, thank you.
I agree.
What have you seen your biggest wins since implementing those systems into your business?
Oh, time. Giving me time back. So for me, like, even my personal love language is time. Like, I give it to people, and I like people who give me time, like on both sides. And I've always been the person that I will pay. I'll pay the $30 a day parking. Most people think I'll be crazy. $30 a day parking in the city centre, so that it takes me a minute to get to and from somewhere. So that, because if you think about it, that hour, an hour there, an hour back on the train, and yet I'm going to take 30 minutes, I've saved an hour. And what is the value of your time? To me, it's $30. You know what I mean? Like, and that's what AI has given me, is time. It's all of the time back of spending. It helps me answer emails. It tells me what I'm doing for my day. It saves not only my time, but also my designer's time, to be able to then sit there meticulously building out, imagery that would usually take hours and hours and hours, to now, once you've got that prompt right, and you probably spend 4 or 5 hours in imaging. It's quite hard to be able to get something exact, but it's taken it from days down to hours to be able to produce something that somebody would be able to would take a really long time in doing.
I think it's that. I agree with you. I think from a sales point of view, I don't think it will ever get to the point where it replaces this in terms of connecting and building that trust, so forth. I do think, though, because you mentioned before, just to bring it back for a second, when you went about getting the messaging right. Yes, that's one thing. I also believe is how quick you get that messaging out as well. Yes. And sometimes AI can also help with that from an automation point of view, to allow businesses to do that instead of trying to perfect it. It's like that. What's that famous story around? There was a study done of having, I think it was in a pottery class, where they had 40 people trying to make one perfect one compared to 40 people just making as many as they can. and the
Yes.
40 Labs making as many as they can made better quality pots than the other team. And I think
Yes.
that comes into it as well when I think about sales and trying to get your messaging out in the best way. It's sometimes better to get it out, learn from that, okay, refine, go again.
Yeah. And that's where AI absolutely helps. But my concern to what you just
Go
said
on.
is not having the context to which you can get the messaging out to the right person. So that's
True.
why understanding your ideal client
And
profile
your niche,
in
yeah.
terms of, you're Charlie, you know, live on the eastern states, like I know what you have for breakfast, like that type of information, right? You take that, then you shove that into AI and then go, right, this is Charlie, here's everything we know about him, here's all of his pain points, here are the things that he told us about. Create, and then you go into create messaging that is going to resonate and relate to Charlie.
Yeah.
And it's that. So, and when you said earlier, you asked me a question about what was the biggest issue that I saw within the marketing space now, particularly within businesses, is businesses think that, you know, marketing is just advertising, that messaging and that comms. They don't actually realize it's all of that work before that. It's the ICP work that helps you reduce that messaging down, because that gives you a stepping stone, the foundational value to be able to then quickly turn things out so that you can fail faster, learn quicker, which is what you're referring to, right? So it's very much about, okay, well, you've done the foundational work. We know who we're talking to, but what's the exact phrase and the exact image and that's going to prompt him to click on that? You've got to have multiple iterations. And that's where AI supports any business in that space. But it's learning that you've got to do this foundational shit before you can have fun with all of this amazing technology that's going to help you. If you just go in and just go, oh, I'm targeting an e-commerce business. His role is founder/CEO. He earns, very broad term. Then of course AI is going to spit out the same generic crap that everybody else is using. So then it comes back down to those foundational values of what we do within the company, the sensorium.
Love that. And so with your marketing for Sensorium, what do you do to generate clients coming in? Like, what's the best thing that you use to generate business from a B2B point of view?
So a lot of it is networking. A lot of it is LinkedIn. As you know, like I'm a prolific. I do a lot of self-branding, stories, just little things that I do on a daily basis. Also doing community outreach, so LinkedIn outreach, reaching out to business owners. So we've got real definitive on who it is that we're going after.
Targeting.
Business size, so our business size is between the 20 to 30 million mark. Technically still falls under that, small business according to Australian laws. And we go after those SaaS tech founders, a minimum of X number of years within the game. So we've got really specific on who it is that we're talking to, how we're talking to them, and also then making that message relatable to them, because I've worked in that space. I've worked directly with founders. And we do a mix, like we'll do LinkedIn outreach. We'll also then do a mix of Google ads. We've also got just maintaining top of mind display campaigns, which we refer to as brand campaigns for Sensorium. And then a lot of it is just remaining consistent and being active within the community that I'm trying to sell to. So, every fortnight there's a startup meeting that happens in the city, and if I'm not there, I'm online. I'm also part of the Slack group. I went to a closed lunch last week that's within the investment community, not to get investment, but to talk to businesses. So it's a hybrid between all of them. But you do have to be active as a business. People think that, oh, I don't want to spend money, and I get it, right? It goes back to marketing has become commoditized, therefore there's always a shark out there. It's like, oh, I can run ads for you, but I guarantee you your ads will work. If they are working, they'll only work up until you stop doing them, and then everything else will just fall apart. And that's why we start with foundational levels. Or businesses are not willing to be able to back themselves in advertising. But you're going to have to, otherwise you're going to stay exactly where you are today. And my husband will always say to me when I'm having a bit of a hissy fit, and he'll say to me, he's like, where would you prefer to be? Would you prefer to be where you are now, facing the problems that you have now, or where you were a year ago?
Choose your heart.
That's, yeah, absolutely. And our favourite saying in our household is do the hard things first.
Yeah. I love
And
it.
that can be releasing money for people. Like it's really hard, don't get me wrong.
Yeah.
But for every, $5,000 that you put out into the world, you're going to get it back. You will get it back. Promise you.
For sure. Yeah, no, I think that's awesome. And I think there's so much that we resonate with as individuals, but also as a company. Like we try to help a lot of businesses use automation when it comes to like LinkedIn outreach and so forth. And it's a fascinating conversation when we're speaking to clients about it, because a lot of people are nervous, like I mentioned before. A lot of people are like, oh, but that's my brand. Like, what are you? And it's like, no, it's about allowing you to find one your niche, one your IVP, but then building a message that is true to then just engage with the potential clients that are out there that need it.
Yes.
And that's where the messaging, as you mentioned, I think is so crucial to that. And I think from the work that you are doing, and it sounds fantastic. You're very passionate about it, which is absolutely awesome. And
thanks.
I guess it leads me on to one of the last few questions. Obviously, you help a lot of businesses cut through marketing complexity and make it simple. So, in your view, in your personal opinion, would you say success is simple?
No, because if it was, everybody would be doing it, right?
Yeah.
So no, I don't think success is simple in any way, shape, or form. But I would also then ask you, define success.
And that's the beautiful thing about it. What does success mean to you?
Yeah. Success means to me helping as many businesses as I possibly can. And it's sound really lame, but or one of the things that I'll often say to my daughter, and this resonates in life for me as a person, is be courageous and kind. So it's very much of, and that's kind of how I try to live my life, in very much in the sense of being courageous, in the sense of putting myself out there, relating to, and that's probably why I do the brand work that I do, in the sense of self-branding, of going, well, actually, it's very, and it goes back to what we were talking about, it's very easy for business owners to hide behind their own brand of their business. E.g., it would be easy for me to hide behind Sensorium and just spruik Sensorium. But what we have to remember, and is what you said at the beginning, is that it's important that people relate to one another. So it's important for me for other people to understand that, yes, I'm here and I'm trying to sell you a service that I truly believe would be beneficial for your business. However, you also have to remember that I too am also a business owner. I too am also going through the same trials and tribulations that you are, and that I get it. So if somehow we can come together and help each other, why wouldn't you do that?
And
So
I find that's amazing what you just said there, because I find so many so many owners shelter themselves away from connecting and partnering up with other businesses because they're so focused on just the dollar, where instead if they're focused on connecting, building relationships, it's one of our core values as human beings is feeling part of a tribe, feeling connected. And what you've just touched on, I think, is so paramount, so paramount.
Yeah.
Thank you,
thanks.
David.
Oh, no, thank you. Appreciate it.
I really appreciate you jumping on, and we'd love to connect after as well, because we're in the same space. So I'm sure there's some way, hopefully, that we can continue working in some sort of capacity together. Because I think the mission, the vision that you guys are on, and what we're trying to do is similar. And I'm sure if there's a way that we can assist in any way, I'd love to be able to do that.
Yeah, thank you. And likewise, look, I people, so many businesses now have moved so far away from like, what can I get? What can I get from you? What's the best bang for buck, right? Like, it's very much of that mentality. Whereas I am passionate about helping small businesses. I've got 2 startups at the moment that we're doing pro bono because it's very much of it. Yeah, they're bootstrapped and we get it. And it's our understanding, and not only do we do it within the marketing space, but I also have a network of people who can genuinely help other businesses. So it's really about just building on those relationships and connecting you with the right people, and I often do it. So a lot of people think that people will only reach out to people to gain something. Really, the only thing that I want to gain from is insight. You know what I mean? Like, I want to be able to learn as much as I possibly can from anybody who I interact with. And if in some way I can then impart my little bit of wisdom on somebody to be able to help them in any way, I'm game for that. And
I've learned a lot from this. Like, I really
good.
have.
I'm glad.
Yeah. And it's like, because, like I said, even though I've done so much in sales, like I'm always open to learning more. But from a marketing point of view, it's funny because my mum back in the day was a marketing director, and she always used to say is that when she did marketing and businesses, it's like, well, how do I feel when I look? Does that resonate with me? And you mentioned that earlier on, and I think that's so important to remember. And I also want to say to anyone that is listening that if you're in the space where you're starting to think about how you are going to go to market, you need any assistance when it comes to marketing, like, reach out to Kayleigh, because she's doing awesome work, and I think she will help you a lot.
Thank you. I appreciate that. Yeah, I really do appreciate it.
You're welcome. Like I said, really appreciate you coming on. Absolutely loved it, and thank you once again.
No, thank you. I look forward to seeing it up.
Yes, I will. Give me some time.
No, not at all. No, not at all. Like, I get it, right? Like, I know how long these things take, but and a lot of people don't. But I love the fact that you're doing it, and that you're putting yourself out there and you're doing this podcast. We need more spaces like this. Whether it's social, whether it's something like this where you can talk about the trials and tribulations and what you're experiencing, not only in your own business but with other businesses as well. I think it's a really good platform, and definitely one that needs to be heard. So well done, both of you.
Thank you. And
Thank
I think
you very much.
That success thing that you mentioned as well, like, it changes. Like, so what success means to you today will change tomorrow, will change the next then. And that's why I think, as you mentioned, you've got a daughter, me and Mario, we're fathers and got kids. Like, but when I was growing up, what I viewed success was a dogmatic approach, and now it's completely different. And so I think having this platform, hearing from leaders and business successful business people like yourself, is so important for the younger generation, especially in this day and age where some of the idols that people are looking up to aren't as healthy as they maybe should be.
No, and actually, you raise a really good topic there, because I'm very blessed, and I think another thing that if I could give anybody advice when they are in this space of running a business is lead with gratitude for the big wins, for the small wins, for everything that you have.
Yes.
Always lead with gratitude, and I think that I'm very grateful for running my own business. Don't get me wrong, there's a lot of early mornings, there's a lot of late nights, but do I still have the privilege of picking my daughter up from school? Absolutely.
Yeah.
And that for me, probably going back to what does success look like, that's probably my success of being able to have this continual growth and ability to be able to learn and evolve, and then still have my daughter be able to see that persistence, determination, all of these beautiful parts of you that very few people do get to see, that she's learning from that, right?
Yeah.
So she's, whether or not it's subconscious now or whether in 10, 15 years, that will eventually come out, but she will be, and I hope so, will be learning from that if you put your mind to something, absolutely anything is possible. I was there, I've probably been thinking about this business years ago.
Yeah.
And then 2 years ago, when I took that jump, I was like, oh dear God, what have I done? And it's still to this day, I still have those moments of, oh dear God, what have I done? And there'll be times when my daughter comes in and she's like, are you okay? And I'm like, I am just feeling the pressure of life right now.
Yeah.
But you know what? That she'll come in, she'll give me a hug. As anybody knows, hug your loved ones at least 20 seconds a day, because it resets your nervous system. So your life changes from that moment. And she resets everything for me and I can go again. But yeah, it's not having the depiction of running your business is that you've got to give everything all the time, 23 hours a day. That's not necessarily true. But do you have to be dedicated? And will there be things where you will have to give up? And don't get me wrong, I'm not the perfect mum. There's times where I've forgotten stuff, haven't packed her lunchbox. I haven't forgotten her to pick her up from school just yet, but I'm not quite there. But have I been the bad mum in those moments? Absolutely. And you got to feel the weight of that. But for, I would say 75, 80% of the time, we're doing okay. So you have to just keep reminding yourself of that when everything gets all a little bit too hard. You got to remember what you're doing it for. And if you're doing it for money, my belief is then you're doing it for all the wrong reasons.
I agree.
But if you're doing it for growth and, unlearning everything that you have ever been taught, that's the right reason for doing it.
Love it. Absolutely love it. And it's like you said, I think to summarize, it's like detach yourself from the result, because you do not identify by what you do and what results you get. You are so much more than that as a human. And you're doing a great job.
Yeah, thank you. Likewise. I think I did a post last week about it, and I'd like to always bring it back to the little moments I have with my daughter, and I think I'll probably leave this conversation with the same comment that I left that post with, is in the famous words of that famous little blue fish, just keep swimming. That's all you got to keep doing, just keep swimming, and eventually you'll get there, and then when you get there you'll be like, oh, where does that go to?
Yes, I love it.
Absolutely.
Kayleigh, once again, thank you so much, and
Thanks,
I'll send you over the recording once it's done, and I'll chop it all up and share it with you. But
whenever you're ready, I look forward to it. But definitely keep in contact, and if there's anything I can do for you, conversation, coffee. I'm actually in Sydney in a couple of weeks.
Oh, we're in Melbourne. We're in Melbourne.
Oh, of course you are. Think that you're in bloody
we're in Melbourne.
Sydney.
But what we'll do, we're definitely touch base over the next couple of days as well, because there's a couple of things I'd like to talk to you more about. That is more offline. But yeah, like I said, once again, thank you so much. It's been fantastic. It really has. Thank you.
Likewise. Thanks for your time. Appreciate it.
You're welcome.
Thank you so much, Kayleigh.
Cheers,
good
Charlie.
evening.
Thanks, Marion. Bye.
Take care. Bye.